You guys, I am so excited right now. Oh my god, I haven't casted StarCraft games in like 4 or 5 days, but I swear, as this replay load up, I was getting all excited, and as soon as I saw the hatchery on the screen, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. So I'm pumped right now. I am ready to do some casting. I am just back from Orlando, Florida. I was there visiting the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Orlando Studios. All that good stuff. Very awesome there. I highly recommend it for anybody who likes Harry Potter at all. I'm kind of a big Harry Potter nerd, so it was a whole lot of fun to go see. Now, today I am going to be back to casting, and let's talk about the players right now. Spawning in the 8 o'clock position as the Blue Zerg, playing from Team Liquid, we have HayPro. And actually, today we are just going to be looking at a lot of games from HayPro. We're actually going to be looking at a ZVZ, a ZVP, and a ZVT from HayPro, just because Team Liquid just uploaded a whole bunch of his replays. If you go and just Google "This Week in Replays" by Team Liquid, you will find it, and the most recent one is a bunch of ladder replays from HayPro. So, we're going to be looking at a few of his games today, and thank you to Team Liquid for providing these replays. If you guys want to check out more HayPro games, go check them out at teamliquid.net or just Google it, like I said. His opponent spawning close by air positions, playing as the Red Terran from Team Empire, we have Happy. This is going to be HayPro's Terran opponent for the day, so we're going to be looking first at a little bit of ZVT from HayPro. Going to be looking mostly at the HayPro side of things, but I will be jumping down here to the Happy side every now and again. Like I said, they have spawned close by air positions. HayPro, for those of you that do not know about HayPro's style, he's a very macro-oriented player, and he's actually very, very underrated. A lot of players think he's kind of bad, but he's actually really, really good. And whenever he's streaming, I will always go check out his stream, because he's actually a really, really good macro Zerg player, but he just doesn't get the results. I always feel like he should do really, really well in tournaments, because every time I see him play, he's just so ridiculously good, but he always gets shut down at tournaments pretty hard. So, gonna have to see how he's gonna be playing out this match against Happy, who is of course also a professional StarCraft 2 player. He's a Russian player, actually. HayPro is from Sweden, if I am not mistaken. I believe I screwed this up last time, and it looks like Happy is gonna be throwing down a bunker right at the bottom of HayPro's ramp. He has one drone here that's gonna start to knock out that SCV. 2 more are coming down. This is of course the typical response to this for any of you Zerg players who want to know how to deal with these early bunker rushes and that just pull all your drones off the line. Generally, you just want to pull about 3 drones. You want to pull 1 to deal with the SCV, you want 2 to start either chipping away at that bunker, or you want the other 2 to start chasing down the Marine that's on the way. You want a few SCV, or a few drones rather, to start chasing down that Marine and seeing if they can't chase him away, just like HayPro is doing here with these 4 drones. And you always want to have 1 on the SCV, but oh no, it looks like HayPro, a little bit of miss micro there. He's actually going to lose that drone to that SCV. Looks like that 1 Marine is doing a good job of getting around. 1 Marine does go down, but a second one is here now, and it looks like HayPro might actually lose a second drone. The 2 Zerglings are now going to be on the way. Looks like they're going to be first picking off that SCV, keeping away from that bunker, then those drones finish off that SCV. So not too bad there by HayPro. I think he lost 3 workers in that. Yeah, it looks like 3 workers were lost there to HayPro's 1. So not terribly bad. He now has his natural expansion up and running. In the base of HayPro, we can see that it looks like he's transitioning into what looks like a 1-1-1 build. We do have 1 gas geyser up and running. Ooh, we do have a starport going down. So yes, indeed, it is going to be a 1-1-1 from Happy. Although, it's typical that you take a second gas directly after that factory when you are going for that 1-1-1 build, but it looks like he's going to be having a little bit slower of a starport, a little bit slower tech in favor of having more Marines, going to have more Hellions up, and as we can see, the reactor is already up on this barracks, most likely going to be swapping that factory onto that reactor and start double producing those Hellions. That is a very, very common opening. Another possibility is that he could just be trying to double produce Marines, produce Hellions 1 at a time, get just enough to produce just 4, so that he can start to load them up from this starport medevac that I'm almost positive that we're going to be seeing here very, very soon from Happy. Now, in the base of HayPro, he is still just operating off of 1 gas, focusing a lot on getting lots and lots of drones. He did see the Hellions from his opponent, so he did place his queen there on the ramp. He did produce a 3rd queen, so currently 3 queens are out on the field. 1 of them is carefully placed there on the ramp. If you're very careful about the way you place that queen and you put it on hold position, it can block Hellions from getting up that ramp, but it needs to be very, very carefully placed. Looks like HayPro being sure to keep 1 there, starting to spread his creep. This is one thing that Artosis always talks about with HayPro. He's always talking about HayPro's amazing ability to spread creep all over the place, and you will see why, I'll bet very, very shortly, just because HayPro is always very, very on top of his very on top of his creep spread. Now this is an interesting move here by Happy. Happy produced a lot of Marines out of this barracks. He then swapped the starport onto the reactor so that he could double produce medevacs and do a very quick double drop here in the main. And this is a very, very interesting build here. It's almost a variation on the Slayers build that we saw Team Slayers develop at MLG Anaheim, but it looks like, yes, this second medevac is going to be here on the way, and it looks like he's going to be loading that all up. HayPro does have a sense that something is coming. He's producing lots and lots of Zerglings right now. 17 Zerglings currently on the way. Baneling Nest just about to complete as well. Is he going to start to produce those? We do see the drop now going down here in the main of HayPro. Lots of medevacs, Marines, and Hellions are now in the base. Moving forward right now, Queens have all been pulled up here. Oh no, the Banelings are morphing, but the Hellions have spotted them, and he's going to start to focus them down. It looks like he's going to lose a lot of them, but in the meantime, the Zerglings are coming up, starting to pick off a lot of these units on. 2 Banelings do finish, and it looks like HayPro is actually going to be able to clean up this attack. Beautiful defense there by HayPro, and now he's just going to go back to spreading that creep. Gonna start that lair tech right away. Really, really like that from HayPro, because just when your opponent fails an attack and you feel like you held it pretty well, you are going to be in a good economic position. What you don't want to do right now is produce lots and lots more Zerglings, because you just held off an attack. So you want to start to follow that up with tech and economy-based play. There we go. We do see that 2 more gas geysers now going down here for HayPro. He's very well saturated here at his natural expansion here. I would almost expect to see HayPro taking a third here very, very shortly. Good Overlord placement also by HayPro, placing 1 down here at this lower position. He had 1 at this upper position, but it got taken out by that drop. It looks like 1 Viking now out on the field for Happy as he starts to take his natural expansion. The orbital command is now done, and he's lifting that down onto the low ground. We do have 2 barracks currently out here for Happy, as well as a reactor, or rather a tech lab factory now producing siege tanks with siege mode. Siege mode is now completed. Medevacs are now just being produced 1 at a time, as he is now just going to be transferring workers down into his natural expansion. In the base of HayPro right now, we do see a macro hatchery is now going up here, and this is something I really, really like. This is something I like to do a lot when I'm going for Zerglings, because it always starts to feel like when you're going Zerglings that you will start to feel like you have just too much money. So you really, really need to get that second hatchery up. Unless you take a very, very, very fast third, HayPro is going to be taking this macro hatchery, which is really, really going to help him keep his resources down nice and low. As we can see, his resources are already starting to climb just a smidgen there. But with this natural hatchery up and running, he's going to be able to knock that right back down in no time. And as we can see, he is going to be taking his third here. But this is a much, much, much safer third. Just because that macro hatchery is up, we're going to be able to get up a lot of Zerglings very, very fast. And I don't know if you guys can hear my cat in the background. If you do, I apologize for that. You need to be quiet, cat, because I am trying to do some StarCraft casting right now, and that is the more important thing. We do see that EmpireHappy is going to be getting up this natural expansion, getting it very, very well saturated, transitioning into that standard Marine siege tank play. But notice, because he went for that early 1-1-1, a lot of players feel like that 1-1-1 is just so strong and it's so unbeatable. But if you'll notice, it's like following up a 1-1-1 can be very, very difficult. It's like the following push after doing a 1-1-1 is actually not that big. We're here at the 12-minute mark here, and this is not that many Marines, not that many siege tanks. They have siege mode, and they don't have any upgrades at all. So that 1-1-1 really takes a little bit of time to recover from. So that's one thing that HayPro is well aware of, and that's why he got up this natural expansion, got it well saturated, started to go for more tech. We do see Baneling speed is on the way, as well as +1 attack. We do see 6 Mutalisks currently on the way. The Spire has completed and is now just now starting to research that flyer attacks level 1. And we do see he's now producing lots and lots of Lings and Banelings, just because Happy did move out onto creep, do a scan to start to clear some of those creep tumors. But if you check out that creep grid right now, oh my god, HayPro is actually going to be very aggressive here. He's just going to move in, catch all these units off guard, going to get all of those siege tanks for free, be able to pick up all those Marines as well. Happy picked up a few of them, managed to get out of there, but now HayPro does have the opportunity to get very aggressive here as he's moving in here with some Banelings. Baneling speed is just about to finish. HayPro might wait for that to complete and go in again. He might also go back. There also is a drop going on at the third expansion, but it looks like the Mutalisks were there in time to be able to clean that up, and not too much damage was done. Looks like he might have lost 1 Mutalisk there, but not too bad there for HayPro, as he did manage to save that base, and now he's just producing lots and lots of Zerglings here. He's going to start to be very aggressive here, because Happy really doesn't have a whole lot here to be able to defend. Baneling's coming and taking out a lot of workers, as well as the Zerglings, which are now moving in, trying to get a good surround on that siege tank, but Happy doing a nice little move there with his SCVs surrounding that siege tank, so the Zerglings couldn't quite get to it, and all the Zerglings were cleaned up quite nicely. I would say that HayPro is still by far in the lead, though. If we check out the units lost tab, we can see that HayPro is currently, he actually did lose more. Actually, I think that was all from that last attack. I think prior to that, I think HayPro would have been ahead, especially after this attack here. HayPro really didn't lose all that much, and Happy lost a lot more than he did. But as we can see, it looks like HayPro going to be moving in here. He's going to try to deny this third. He's trying to rally in as many Mutalisks as he can. Notice that he has already started +2 melee attacks as well as +1 flyer attacks. I think we're going to be seeing +2 flyer attacks most likely very shortly. It looks like HayPro's been favoring this. Oh, that is not a good place to be producing your Banelings. Those are just going to be taken out right away. As HayPro now going to come around the backside, going to try to focus down some of these Marines at the back, and now Happy's going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Planetary Fortress is on the way, but is only about 2/3 done. Going to be a little while before it's done, but those Marines are going to be enough to shove away all those Mutalisks. They are currently unupgraded. We do see +1/+1 on the way here for Happy, and we do see, there we go, there's the +2 flyer attacks now being started for HayPro, and we see that that third is now getting up and running quite well. Almost would expect to see a fourth coming down soon. There we go. We do see the fourth now coming down for HayPro. This is because he does have these Mutalisks out, and these Mutalisks are absolutely what allows him to do this. Once he starts to be aggressive with these Mutalisks, it's much, much harder for HayPro to move, or for Happy rather, to move out, because as soon as HayPro moves out with all these siege tanks and Marines, very, very good at defending one location, as soon as he moves them out, he can just move right in with these Mutalisks, start to deal lots of damage. So Happy really needs to wait till he can tech the Thors before he can really start to move out and be a really, really scary force to have to deal with. HayPro, in the meantime, just going to be getting up lots and lots of drones. We see 2 bases actually being taken here by HayPro. This is all because of these Mutalisks here, and because he's allowed to be aggressive, or he's allowed to expand because he's being aggressive with these Mutalisks. Brilliant play here by HayPro. Now going to be pulling back. We do see the armory is now coming up here for Happy. God, the fact that it's Happy and HayPro is getting me really, really screwed up. We do see the armory is going to be on the way. As you can see, he is teching to those Thors, but these Mutalisks continuing to poke in, be very, very annoying, forcing Happy to have to jump back and forth between all of his bases. The third's now up and running. If we check out the Harvester count, we can see that, holy drones, Batman, HayPro is way up, 88 Harvesters to 49. He is way ahead in the economy lead. We do see that he's instantly going to be taking these gas geysers. That is absolutely what you want to do as a Zerg player. You want to take those gas geysers right away. Once you're on 3 bases, you generally only need 3 bases worth of minerals. Past that, you really are going to have more mineral income than you really, really need. You can really max quite easily to 200 on just 3 bases worth of minerals. So as you take more bases, you want to start to take strictly gas geysers. You want to max out all your gas geysers very, very quickly. In the meantime, we can notice that that I can choke on my own saliva as HayPro moves in with his Mutalisks, starting to take out lots of Marines here, but the first Thor is now out here, and ooh, HayPro needs to pull back from that right away. We can see that HayPro's creep spread, like I was saying earlier, is absolutely unbelievable. He gets up extra queens for this, and if we check out the energy of his queens, well, they're actually not as low as I thought. A lot of times what HayPro will do is, as his queens get low on, or high on energy, if he misses inject, then he'll just start throwing down lots and lots of extra creep tumors, and that's absolutely what you want to be doing. You want to use all that energy. You want your energy on your queens to be nice and low, and that's one thing, if you ever watch your own replays, that is almost always the first thing that I check in my replays. I see how well did I inject that game and see if that is the reason I lost. That's almost always my first check when I watch a replay of my own. I want to know, was I injecting the whole time, and how was my money? Is my money too high? Was it too high because I didn't inject enough? Did I get enough army units? Were my army units too slow to get out? And so queen energy is always a very good indicator of that. HayPro going to be very aggressive right now, going to try to deny this 4th base. I think that is entirely what HayPro's plan is. I think his plan was to take all these top 5 bases, and then as he takes the gold, he's going to continue to deny this base and deny this base right now with his very fast mobile units. With these Lings and Banelings, he can make this expand very, very difficult, because Happy is now going to have to pull a lot of Marines and siege tanks over here to have to deal with those Lings. And in the meantime, these Mutalisks can move in and deal lots of damage at the main, at the natural. Once that army moves out of position, as we can see, that was a little bit of a miscontrol there by HayPro, as he did take a little bit more damage on his Mutalisks than really would have been nice. But as we can see, HayPro now just transferring workers over. This is exactly the right move you want to make. He is now on Hive Tech. More queens being produced, a second evolution chamber now coming down. We do see +2 ground carapace coming on the way, as well as the greater spire, so it looks like Broodlords is going to be the name of the end game here for HayPro. We do see the adrenal glands also going down here for HayPro. Extremely important upgrade to get that a lot of players always forget about. We do see that pathogen glands is just about to complete, as well as 5 infestors here, so HayPro really starting to go for that late game tech once he has his bases up and running. And there's not a whole lot Happy can do about this right now. I think Happy is actually in a pretty bad position right now. He's been stuck on 3 bases. He hasn't really had a chance to be aggressive at all. He hasn't been doing any kind of drops, anything like that to try to prevent his opponent from doing exactly what HayPro is doing. And this is exactly what you don't want a Zerg player doing. You don't want a Zerg player expanding all over the place. That is not what you want, because a Zerg player with a good economy is a extremely scary Zerg to beat. I remember I once saw a post where, I don't remember who it was. It was 2 pros. No, it was somebody asking a question to a pro, and they said, they were asking a Terran player, and they said, what is the scariest thing that a Zerg can do? And the Terran's answer was expand and constantly inject. A Zerg that constantly expands and constantly injects is so hard to deal with. That is the scariest possible thing a Zerg can do. Which I thought that was a really good response, because I think the person who asked the question was asking more in terms of unit composition, Mutalisks, Banelings. What's the strongest thing that you have to deal with? What's the hardest units to have to deal with? And his answer wasn't any specific kind of unit at all. It is a Zerg that injects and expands all over the place, because it's so hard to deal with. Because you can see that right now, HayPro being aggressive all over the place, attacking first on this side, then attacking down on this side, constantly jumping back and forth, forcing this slow Terran army of Thors, siege tanks, and marines to have to jump back and forth constantly. And here he is moving again. As soon as Happy starts to move towards his opponent's base, he's once again just moving in here, going to start to take down production structures, going to start to take off tech labs, reactors whenever he can, and that's absolutely the right play in this position when your economy is absolutely so good. And look at this, just spreading creep, continuing to spread creep all over the map. The entire, more than half the map right now is completely purpled up and gooped up, and he's going to continue to spread creep that way. Happy keeps trying to push it back, but HayPro just keeps pushing it back forward again, and that is so annoying for Terran players to have to deal with if that creep just keeps coming at you and you keep taking it down. What'll happen with a lot of lower level players is that once the creep gets taken out, they just kind of leave it there, and that's kind of it. But no, you should actually continue to spread creep, just because it continues to give you lots and lots more vision. As we can see in this game, though, HayPro has pretty much been able to do exactly what he's wanted to do all game. Had enough mutas to keep his opponent pinned while he took lots of expansions, teched up very high to Hive Tech, and Greater Spire now produce lots of Broodlords and Infestors, and now as his units die, as his Lings and Banelings die, he can start to tech to those really high-tech units. We can see that +3 melee attacks is currently on the way, +3 Carapace not quite started yet, but we do have +3 flyer attacks, which is going to make these Broodlords extremely strong against this kind of an army, and Happy really going to need to start picking up that Ghost and or Viking production right now, because that is going to be the appropriate counter to Broodlords. Ghosts can snipe down these Broodlords pretty quick, but they need to be able to get within range to do so, so it can be a little bit tricky at times. But it looks like HayPro finally moving forward with that maxed army. Happy not quite maxed, sitting at 170 food right now. Lots of Broodlords now coming in, dealing lots of damage to all these siege tanks. These siege tanks not getting quite the shots off that they wanted to, and now the Banelings are going to be rolling in here doing so much damage. Infestors throwing down lots of infested Terran Marines all over the place as the Broodlords continue to advance forward. Not enough damage being dealt to those Broodlords, and I think those Broodlords are going to win HayPro this game. Looks like that is going to be the end of this game for Happy, and I actually should restate that, because no, I don't think it was actually the fact that these Broodlords won the game. A lot of players will look at this and be like, oh my god, Broodlords so OP, they're so overpowered, so hard to beat. But no, what actually won HayPro this game is the fact that he was very defensive all game long, was very good about hitting all his injects all the time, and he was very aggressive with his expanding, very heavy expanding, and that is really what won him this game. And the fact that Happy really wasn't all that aggressive all game long after that 1-1-1 didn't quite work out for him. So, we are now going to be jumping on to a ZVP here by LiquidHayprO, so stick around, guys. HayPro versus Mana coming up in just a moment.